Have you ever heard a rumor so crazy that it made your parents ban you from watching any TV? Like, no cartoons today, kid. The devil's coming for you. Yeah, we're going there. Hey. I don't know why I said that 3 times. Welcome back to Don't Quote Me, It's Probably Nothing, the podcast that dives deep into the wildest stories that make you question everything, including your grandmom's horror stories about cartoons. Also, just reminding you that I really don't know about like 98% of what I'm doing. And if you're wondering if the audio sounds weird or better, it's because I'm on vacation in Wildwood and I'm sitting under a blanket right now. Also, my nephew's here. Johnny, say hi.
Hello.
That was Johnny saying hi. Today we're exploring the Satanic Panic, the dark, strange time in the 1980s when America was gripped by fears of secret satanic cults, abusing children, infiltrating daycares, and basically turning the world upside down. It was a moral panic fueled by wild accusations, media frenzy, and a whole lot of mass hysteria. So, get ready for shocking stories, wild media moments, and the lasting impact of one of the most bizarre chapters in modern history. But don't quote me, it's probably nothing. Alright, let's rewind to the 1980s. A decade known for big hair, neon everything, and apparently a whole lot of collective freakouts. Welcome to the era of the Satanic Panic, when America looked at the world and thought, wait, what if the neighbors are secretly part of a satanic cult and plotting to ruin our kids? Yeah, it was that level of paranoia. This all started because the cultural and political climate was a perfect storm. We had the Reagan era kicking off with a surge of conservative values, a rising evangelical Christian movement, and a growing fear of the occult. It was like the country decided it needed a new boogeyman, and who better than satanic cults hiding in plain sight, right? Enter the media, which loved a juicy story, especially one that scared the pants off of parents. Sensational headlines about secret satanic rituals, children being abused in daycares, which, side note, if you abuse kids, you're a piece of shit. And underground cults spread like wildfire. If you had a daycare, a neighborhood kid, or even a suspicious looking cat, you were suddenly under suspicion. One of the earliest sparks was the McMartin preschool case in California, a daycare accused of horrifying satanic abuse. The allegations were so wild and the investigation so intense, it became the longest and most expensive in U.S. history. Kids were interviewed repeatedly, often with leading questions, which led to some truly bizarre claims, like secret tunnels and ritual sacrifices. Spoiler alert, no tunnels or sacrifices were ever found, and most of the accusations fell apart. But by then, the panic had spread everywhere. This wasn't just a small town freakout either. It rippled through the country, fueled by talk shows, evangelical sermons, and even lawmakers. It was a full-on moral panic, and honestly, kind of like a horror movie, except it was real. And the monsters were more often fear and misunderstanding. It caught on so hard because people love a good mystery. And even better, a big scary enemy to unite against. Plus, the idea that evil could be lurking right under your nose was terrifying, and nothing gets people talking like fear. And let's be honest, it also made for some seriously wild news cycles. Imagine turning into your favorite morning show and hearing about satanic rituals happening in the daycare down the street. Talk about your breakfast conversation killer. But beneath all the hysteria were real families, real lives, real damage, making this one of the strangest and darkest chapters of American cultural history. Alright, grab your juice boxes and settle in because the daycare abuse cases during the Satanic Panic were basically the craziest, most chaotic chapter of childhood story time gone totally off the rails. Picture it. Sicily, 1912. Just kidding. So picture this. Parents dropping their kids off at what they think is a safe, happy place. Finger paintings, snack time, maybe a nap or two. But suddenly, out of nowhere, these daycares become the epicenter of the most bone-chilling accusations you can imagine. The biggest and most infamous were the one I mentioned earlier, the McMartin preschool case in Manhattan Beach, California. It started in 1983 when a mom accused a teacher of molesting her child, and then other parents began coming forward, and before anyone knew it, the allegations spiraled into claims of ritualistic satanic abuse involving secret tunnels, underground rituals, and I kid you not, witches flying on broomsticks. Maybe not the broomsticks, but you get the vibe. The investigators, eager to get to the bottom of this very serious matter, started interviewing the kids. Here's where things get interesting. The kids were asked questions over and over, sometimes in confusing or leading ways. Imagine being a kid and trying to answer the same weird question 50 times. Your answers might start sounding like a story you want to finish, right? What followed was the longest and most expensive criminal trial in U.S. history, spanning years and costing millions. And after all of that, no physical evidence or abuse was found. No tunnels were discovered, and many of the children later recanted or said they were confused or coached. But by the time the dust settled, lives were ruined. Teachers lost jobs, families were torn apart, and communities were left deeply shaken. It's like the ultimate too wild to be true episode of Law & Order. Unfortunately, it was real life. This wasn't just McMartin either. Similar accusations happened at places like the Little Rascals Daycare in North Carolina and others around the country. It was a nationwide phenomenon fueled by fear, bad interviewing techniques, and a media frenzy hungry for headlines. What's wild is how this panic turned innocent questions into nightmare scenarios, showing just how easily hysteria can spiral, especially when kids are involved and everyone's scared out of their minds. So next time you think daycare was just about snack time and naps, remember, the 80s turned it into a full-blown thriller and not the fun kind. If the Satanic Panic was a wildfire, the media was basically the kid with the magnifying glass just waiting to set the whole forest ablaze. And Hollywood? Well, let's just say they handed out the marshmallows for the bonfire. The 1980s media landscape loved a good scare story, and boy did they get one with the Satanic Panic. TV, news shows, newspapers, and talk shows jumped all over the stories about secret satanic cults lurking in daycares, schools, and even right in your neighborhood. You know those late night shows where guests shout about satanic rituals in the basement like it's the hottest new thing? Yeah, those were peak panic fuel. And it wasn't just the news. Hollywood got in on the act too. Movies and TV shows about satanic cults, demonic possession, and ritual abuse popped up everywhere. Some were based on real fears, others were pure sensationalism, but they all added to the feeling that the end times were just around the corner. Think the Exorcist sequels, The Omen, and even some made-for-TV movies that probably gave every parent nightmares. These productions didn't just reflect the panic, they fanned the flames, making their threat feel tangible and immediate. Talk shows like The Oprah Winfrey Show and Donahue featured experts and survivors telling harrowing tales that captivated and terrified audiences. Sometimes these stories were heartbreaking and true, but other times they were questionable or outright false, all mixed together in the perfect panic stew. And don't forget the sensational headlines screaming phrases like "Satanic Cult Strikes Again" and "Daycare of Horrors" plastered across papers and magazines, which, I'm not gonna lie, there are some daycares of horrors around here today. If you were a parent in the 1980s, it was hard not to panic when every news cycle seemed to bring a new story about hidden dangers. The media frenzy made it hard for anyone to take a breath and think critically, which is on brand for them. The fear spread faster than gossip at a family reunion, turning the panic into a cultural phenomenon that felt impossible to escape. Hollywood and the media weren't just observers. They were participants in the moral panic, sharing public perception and turning suspicion into hysteria. And as we know, hysteria loves company. All right, let's pause the panic and crank up the volume, or turn it up to 11. Sorry for my accent. The 80s wasn't just about wild fears. It was also the golden era of big hair, bigger guitars, and some seriously rebellious rock bands who loved every minute of the Satanic Panic. Bands like Motley Crue, Ozzy Osbourne, rest in peace, Judas Priest, and Iron Maiden weren't just rocking the charts, they were feeding the flames of moral panic with their devilish imagery, spooky album covers, and lyrics that made parents clutch their pearls faster than you can say, shred guitar solo. Take Motley Crue, for example. These guys practically owned the bad boy rock star persona, and when Satanic Panic hysteria hit, they found themselves accused of corrupting America's youth with songs about sex, drugs, and yes, sometimes the occult. But did they back down? Heck no. They doubled down, turning controversy into marketing gold. Ozzy, the Prince of Darkness himself, who was actually just a cute, sweet man, became a poster child for the panic. Remember when he bit the head off a bat on stage? Yeah, parents everywhere lost their minds. And when his music was blamed for everything, including Satan worship, Ozzy just laughed it off because nothing says rock star like a little chaos. But it wasn't just the metal scene. Even pop artists like Prince got caught up in the wave of fear and suspicion. The Parents Music Resource Center famously targeted songs and artists they claimed were promoting Satanism and immoral behavior, which only made these stars more popular with rebellious teens. Interestingly, some artists pushed back against the hysteria in creative ways. Madonna, who was already stirring the pot with her provocative performances, used the panic as fuel to push boundaries even further. Meanwhile, artists like Bruce Springsteen and Billy Joel spoke out against censorship and the fear-mongering, reminding fans that music was a form of expression, not a satanic gateway. I mean, does that apply to today's music? Because there's some wild stuff out there. The Satanic Panic era gave rise to the infamous parental advisory stickers, which, let's be honest, became fashion statements for a whole generation of rebellious kids. Nothing screamed cool like a warning label on your cassette. So while the Satanic Panic scared a lot of people, it also propelled many rock and pop stars into superstardom, proving that sometimes controversy is the best kind of publicity. Big hair, loud guitars, and a little bit of hysteria, the perfect recipe for 80s rock history. Also, side note, I'm obsessed with Sebastian Bach and Skid Row, so I love that he's been filling in for Vince while Motley Crue was touring, and now I need to go see them again because his voice is amazing. It was actually Skid Row that got me interested in hair metal when I was younger. I'm still young. Not even close to 40 yet. All right, let's get into the brainy stuff. But don't worry, I promise to keep it cute and not turn it into a boring textbook. We're talking about how whole countries can go from, hey, nice day, to, oh my god, secret satanic cults are everywhere, faster than you can say hair metal solo. First off, there's something called mass hysteria, which is basically a fancy way of saying people collectively losing their minds. It's like when one person starts screaming spiders and suddenly everyone's running out of the room. Except in this case, the spiders are invisible satanic cults and the room is the entire country. Add in fear, not just like normal fear, but that all-consuming, can't look away, what if the worst actually happens kind of fear. Fear is a superpower for spreading rumors and panic, kind of like glitter. Once it's out, good luck getting rid of it. Then there's the role of suggestibility, especially with kids. When children are repeatedly asked confusing or leading questions, their brains start playing a game called Guess What the Adult Wants to Hear. So instead of saying, nope, no satanic rituals here, they might say, yeah, secret tunnels and sacrifices. Groupthink also plays a huge part. When everyone around you believes something, it's way easier to jump on the bandwagon rather than being the one saying, hey guys, maybe we're just overreacting. Nobody wants to be that person, especially when the topic is as scary as evil cults, which, side note, I do believe there are evil cults out there. And here's a fun little twist. Humans love stories, especially scary ones, with villains, heroes, and secrets. The Satanic Panic was basically a real-life horror story unfolding across America, complete with plot twists, cliffhangers, and enough drama to fuel a Netflix series. So when you mix mass hysteria, fear, suggestible kids, and a culture that loves a good mystery, you get a perfect storm of panic that's almost impossible to stop once it starts. Can you imagine what the time would have been like if social media was a thing? The Satanic Panic eventually ran out of steam, like grandma after one too many cups of coffee. But oh, the mess it left behind, which, I mean, can also happen to grandma, I guess. First off, many of the accused in those daycare cases were totally innocent. Some spent years fighting to clear their names after being dragged through the mud by wild allegations. Imagine showing up from work and some randos like, you're a satanic cult leader. Like, not a great day at the office, my guy. The legal fallout was massive. Some convictions were overturned and people started realizing that maybe, just maybe, the panic had gotten a little out of hand. Courts began scrutinizing the evidence, or lack thereof, and the problematic interview techniques used on kids came under fire. Basically, the panic taught the justice system some hard lessons on how not to conduct investigations. Culturally, the Satanic Panic left a lasting mark. It changed how parents viewed daycares, schools, and even popular culture. Remember those parental advisory stickers on albums? That was part of the fallout, a way to protect kids from what adults saw as dangerous influences. The panic also sparked conversations about media responsibility. How much should sensational reporting drive public fear? Turns out, quite a lot. And interestingly, echoes of the Satanic Panic can still be felt. Moral panics pop up every now and then. Think video games, social media trends. The patterns are the same. Fear spreads fast, facts take a backseat, and chaos follows. So while the Satanic Panic faded, its legacy is a reminder of how powerful fear and misinformation can be, and why critical thinking is more important than ever. Okay, so per usual, I took to Reddit, and here's a fun fact. This was posted by Krusty Batch of Nature, which I kind of love that name. So the PMRC's Filthy 15 included 2 songs, Merciful Fate's Into the Coven and Venom's Possessed. They were only on there for occult references. Okay, this one actually made me cackle for a good 10 minutes. It says, I was a Jehovah's Witness kid. The grown-ups were scared. The grown-ups were scared of the fucking Smurfs, okay? And then comes in an old box commented and said, my mother believes to this day that troll dolls were representations of demons made to look cute and friendly, so when we were approached by actual demons, we wouldn't be scared of them. Here's another fun fact that I just came across. In the UK, the Royal Mint released a commemorative coin to mark Iron Maiden's 50th anniversary, and it has Eddie on it. I feel like I want to buy one. But one thing I noticed while reading through Reddit is that it was mostly the adults freaking out about everything, and the kids just going about their day, most of them hiding the fact that they played Dungeons and Dragons and listen to metal. Here's one from Attaboy Stampy. My parents frowned on stuff like that, but they never really forbade it. They didn't like D&D because they had heard stories of people acting weird with it, such as that guy in Wisconsin that wigged out. Similar with music. They thought Ozzy and various metal was bad, but not because they thought it was satanic, but because they thought idiot kids would think it was satanic. That's actually pretty funny. The only thing they ever forbade along those lines were me buying Van Halen 1984. My mom threw my cassette away when she found it because she thought the cover photo was sacrilegious and was offended. This one's wild. It's from Gen X Horse Girl. It says, my best friend was stabbed to death by her 14-year-old neighbor, and the defense tried to blame Motley Crue. People are wild. I remember when I bought a Marilyn Manson CD when I was like 14 or 15, and it was actually one of my like favorite albums to listen to. But so we had this block party or something, and the neighbors were like in and out of each other's houses, and we lived in a row home, in case you were wondering. And I went to put the CD in the stereo to play some music, but low, so I wasn't bothering anyone. And I was putting on like Three Doors Down or something, and my mom literally hissed at me. She was like, "It better not be Marilyn Manson." Like, chill out, Carol, you weirdo. And then in high school at Warped Tour, RIP to like the best time ever, a belt company was giving out free stickers, so naturally I took one. And I put it on my school bag, and I went to Catholic school, go Lions. And my criminal justice teacher was like, in the middle of prayer, he was like, "Is that a devil worship sticker?" Like, no, my guy. Thinking back, I probably should have said yes, just to see if I got a reaction. But leave it to me to think of a comeback 19 years later. That must be where my kids get it from. They'll argue with each other and start talking crap and then end up saying the stupidest comeback ever. It's like disappointing. I didn't raise them like that, you know? Anyway, that's a wrap on the Satanic Panic, a wild ride through fear, hysteria, and the power of storytelling gone a little too far. From daycare drama to media madness, this chapter reminds us how quickly panic can take over and lives can get caught in the crossfire. If you got any stories about moral panics or moments when fear went way overboard, send them my way. I just might share them in a future episode. Also, I realized that I never even told you how to send them my way. So you can text the show. There's a link in the show notes. Or you can send me an email to kellybeans17@icloud.com. And it's KELLIBEANNS17@icloud.com. Or you can send a message through the Facebook page or Instagram or Threads, I think. You'll figure it out. Next week, get ready to take a trip to the spooky and mysterious Appalachian Mountains as we dive into Appalachian lore, full of strange creatures, haunted places, and mountain mysteries that will make you double check your granny rocking chair. But before you go, this week's song of the week is The Devil and God by Hazel Bloom, an amazing indie pop artist based out of Boston. This song is an absolute vibe, and you've got to go stream it everywhere right now. Go be kind to someone for no reason, and go be amazing.
I hate that you pointed out everything I hate about myself. It's so sad, like, where's my self-respect? Yeah, must have lost it with all your second chances. Holding on to the past, cause it's all that I have. Leave a kiss on my cheek while I'm shot in the back. Wish you could feel all the pain in my head. I wanna see your face when he fucks with the devil and you see him as a god. I wanna be the pills, I wanna be the drinks that you forcibly take to feel something. I'm holding on to all the wrong things, all the wrong things. I shouldn't miss, no, I shouldn't miss the smell of roses now. Two-faced lane with the Geminis. 3 years I wasted floating in lies for all the scars you left on my health. 5 months I spent trying to find myself. And I write sins, not tragedies. Hope it sings in your head when she's in your bed. Then tell me why it's hard to trust yourself. I wanna see your face when he fucks with the devil and you see him as a god. I wanna see you drop to the floor, hope your world caves